housing and the economy.
November of this year?
Bring everybody up to speed. You guys feel good with that?
November of 2022?
It is November, it is December of 2022, but November data just came out about housing. There's some broad economic stuff. Treasury yield 10-year went up a little bit. Broadly speaking, housing, existing home sales fell 1.5%, new home sales fell 10.9%, and pending home sales fell 10.2%, which is the second month in a row.
So that's saying the market is slowing down. We needed that economic data for that?
I don't know. I think sometimes it's good to see economic data back up what you
Are
see
living?
and feel. And
Are
live.
living?
Well, yeah.
Well, I saw one house listed on Facebook. Somebody shared it. It's at Carmel by the Sea out in California. They probably, went up for $7 million. They probably don't know what the rest of the country's feeling. So maybe they publish this data for those people.
I think anybody in the business,
We all know it's.
the ironic, and we don't have to get into this, but that data is only read by people that are really interested in the business, and those that are really interested in the business already knew that.
True.
But it is good, I guess, for somebody.
Well, I'm starting to hear not the panic, but the concern, and employees calling, and you're getting the same.
Well, the days on market in my bore in February was like 4. In November, it was like 31.
That's a big change.
That tells you that is a metric that most realtors look at in their system. And if you're not looking at it in your system, you should be, because that gives you an indication of where the market's heading.
You're not alone if you feel that way.
Yeah. The problem is it went from like 4 to 25 in a month. Normally you see a gradual 4, then 12, and then in the 20s, but we all know that the interest rate fluctuated a whole bunch, and so did the days on the market. And there are agents of mine that got caught into that. Put a house on the market that should have went in days back in last summer, that went 45 and 50 days now.
Well, and the reality is, it is completely different from where it was in February, but it's not so dissimilar to what it was pre-COVID.
Oh,
This is like normal. We think it's abnormal because it's normal. What was abnormal is what we were experiencing prior to now.
well, Collin told us this, that in the last, since 1971, the average interest rate is like 7.76.
Yeah.
So we're not even up to, but I'm doing a class about millennials. They haven't seen this in the last 5 years. The interest rate's been average is 4. So that, all these people that are just now home buyers that think the status quo was 4.
It was that way for a long time. Rates were down to nothing for 12 or 14 years. Well, another good point to that is actually home values are down. Let's see here. The median home value is down from last month, but up significantly over last year, November. So I guess the point is, even though we're going down, home values are still up, over what the crazy over what they were before the crazy market. Let me find this data.
So November of last year, we're still above that, but we're below February.
Yeah, so month to month, November home prices went down, but November over last year's November, they're still up quite a bit. So they've
Yeah.
continued to rise through the end of last year and first of this year. Existing home sales dropped 1.5%, but it's 23.8% over the last 12 months.
So we've only lost 1 out of 4 houses for sale.
But the median price for all types of homes is up 8.4% from a year ago. So home values are still higher. Somebody was talking about that on stock. They were the cryptos. They said, we were at 10x at one point. Now we're at 2x, but you're still at 2x.
Yeah.
In a 12-month investment.
Yeah.
100% in a year.
But I want to be at 10x.
Well, 10x is better than 2x.
That's true.
Should have got out at 10x.
But doubling your money every year is pretty good.
It's funny that people that didn't get out at 10x were like, that's because you were getting greedy. At what number do you get out? 12x?
New home sales are, and you can help us understand, why are new home sales punished more than existing home sales?
Because I think prices are higher.
Yeah.
Have you got anything on the average? What's the median price of a
the
brand
other-
new home versus the median price of an existing?
Let's see, the median price of all types of homes is just under $385,000 nationally.
Wow.
Single family home $391, condo $331.
Is
The
it-
average of a new home price fell to $517.70.
Yeah, see, that's why they're being punished more.
Yep.
Is the buying power with the interest rate going up, the buying power went down, so not many people are buying $500,000, they're buying $380,000 homes.
And you also have custom homes cooked into that along with semi-custom. You can walk into a semi-custom right now that is probably brand new and get it right now. If you want a custom home, you're
Well,
9 to 12 months to get that custom home. You're going to have things that are going to cost more by the time you wind up finishing it than they did when you started it. There's just too much of a dice roll, and that's part of the
well,
reason
the
why
other
it's going down.
thing I'm wondering, and maybe this is too much caught in the weeds, existing home sales, you said, were only down 1.5%.
Yeah.
I wonder how many new home buyers in February turned out to be existing home buyers because of the price. Their buying power went from 500 to 380, so they were forced to buy an existing home. So that may be another reason you see new home buyers down a lot, because a lot of those level here got pushed down to here.
Yeah, the median new home is $470. The median existing home, it looks like, is $385.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it's about a 25% more expensive
Well,
venture to buy a brand new home.
what's 1 point interest rate equate to buying power?
1% on that'd be $350 a month in interest only on a median home.
I guess what I'm saying, if somebody was qualified at 500 at 3%, and now the interest rate's 4%,
Knocks them down probably 40 grand every percentage point.
okay, so 40 grand on 500 is not quite 25%, but that's the
Well,
number.
but it's gone up 3%, so they're hurt by 120 grand. So it probably did price them out of a new home.
Yeah,
A lot of people, and I'm sure they did turn to existing homes that were less expensive. It's a good point. Pending home sales index, signed contracts fell 10%,
I believe that.
down 31% year over year. Building permits rose 1.4%, but is down 3% year over year.
well, we're a lagging indicator,
Yep.
so that permits were probably in the process.
Yeah, I expect if they had a development going, they're not going to just
Yeah.
stop. They've
Wonder,
started
I
development.
bet if you check in 5 months,
Yep.
the permits will not be up 1%.
Because the houses that they've graded the land and so forth now,
Yeah,
need those permits.
they were already knee deep into it. And then, are we back we had that swell with the price in lumber, which was a huge reason why a lot of new homes. I mean, we both know a guy that had a new home that
Yep.
didn't it increase like $100,000
Yep.
between the time he started looking at it and the time he actually closed, just because of price of lumber.
Well, and then think about the fact that even if lumber has come back down, which I believe it has, that doesn't mean that the builders didn't buy a bunch of it thinking it was going to be going
Further up.
and they still have to. They got to charge based on lumber.
Yeah, they got that sunken economic cost of the wood they've already bought.
Yep.
Housing completions is still, like you said, lagging. So starts fell, but completions rose 6%.
Well, and think of it there again. Think about this. There are people that entered into contract on a custom home this time last year, where things were still
Booming.
coming along, and now they're on the back end. And depending on what type of loan product they got,
They may not qualify.
they may not qualify to even buy the house. At this
Well,
time.
and that's why I'm saying that's where that person
Yeah.
probably maybe switched to a existing home or didn't end up buying altogether.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I'm saying you're seeing new homes being punished more than existing homes.
And I bet you'll see new homes sitting on the market longer too, for that reason. New homes that are just sitting there.
Broadly speaking, I was watching CNBC with our financial guy yesterday.
Mhm.
All these talking heads still talk as if we are not in a recession. Have you noticed that? And
Well, we're not. They redefined recession.
they did redefine it. I was taught that it was 2 consecutive
Quarters.
diminishing quarters, which we had first and second
Yeah.
quarter.
So, I mean, you change the rules and all of a sudden now we're not, doesn't look bad.
Well, the other part to that is GDP grew by 2.6 in the third quarter, but I think the government spent nearly a 3%. The G portion of the GDP, they do all their contracts for military things, and they
Yeah.
do all those things at that end of the fiscal year for Congress.
Well, I would hope the GDP's up. I mean, we spent like a year with almost no GDP because of
Yeah,
COVID.
first two
So
quarters
it
was down.
should be up from zero. I mean,
Well, I find it amusing that we still pretend like we're not in a recession, but I think most of us feel it.
but isn't that kind of the new way of the world right now? If we don't like what we're looking at, we'll just redefine it until it's something else.
Well, yes, it's.
I have a dinghy, but I decided I wanted to call it a yacht because I really want a yacht.
Tell
Look
me-
at my yacht.
telling.
I thought you were talking about your other dinghy.
No, that is a yacht.
Well, that's true too. I have a dinghy and I don't want to be, so now I'm a female and
Yeah, I mean, it just.
you got to call me
We
that.
just redefine anything we don't want anymore. It doesn't make it real. It just means that we.
The truth
Can't deal with
doesn't
reality.
change whether we.
Yeah.
No, we've been.
What did-
George Carlin did something about that. Like,
Shakespeare did.
I mean, we start with something that's one syllable, gets right to the point, and we end up watering it down over a decade to the point that it's an entire phrase. It doesn't seem quite as bad,
Well,
but it is still the same thing.
and I guess this is our podcast. We can talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
Have you heard the new woke name for pedophile? Minor attracted.
That majorly bothers me.
So we just changed the term, but the definition remains
Well,
the same.
Shakespeare said a rose by any other name is still a rose. A rose called by any other name is still a rose. I mean, he said that.
And he was right.
Yeah.
You know, 100.
But I meant, speaking to your point, I mean,
Yeah.
they couldn't call this guy a pedophile in the court. They called him minor attracted.
Well, we
Pedophile's a crime.
Yeah.
Minor attracted is evidently sounds less criminal.
Well, it's the same reason why we changed the definition of recession. Oh, well, we don't want this political party to take the blame for anything, so we'll just redefine it. And then when it switches, back to the old definition.
What was the one, Carlin? They were shell shocked. Now it's
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
disorder.
4 words, multiple syllables, still the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point I was making.
Retail sales were unchanged. Consumer confidence declined. Makes sense?
All of it makes sense.
Yeah.
Retail sales have to go up when everything costs more.
Well, November will be a big telltale sign of retail because they always compare that's
Yeah, that's,
Well,
the holiday shopping and the.
I would not be shocked to see that the spending is up, but people are not buying more things. They're buying fewer things, and it's costing them more
Right.
because we are, in fact, in a recession, whether we want to call it that or not.
Oil prices.
well, the easy way is I just went out behind my house and shot the shotgun off and told the kids Santa Claus committed suicide.
Well,
So-
prime example, I went and I got a spicy chicken combo from one of our local fast food places. 4 years ago, it would have cost me like $6. It was $15 for a
Yeah.
chicken sandwich, a fry, and a drink.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start eating filet. I can still go to a steakhouse and get a filet for $30. If I'm going to spend $15 on gruel, might as well spend $30 on something worth eating.
Big Mac meal used to be $2.99 when I was young and eating Big Mac meals frequently.
Well, like 2 years ago.
When I was younger, I'm still young, but some of that is it's okay. Prices double every 20 years or whatever, but things are out of control.
Yeah, but when they double in 6 months, there's a big problem.
We used to, we stop in Kroger and our daughter, oh, Dad, we're out of ice cream or this. And we stop at Kroger now. I can't get 4 bags that I can carry, $60 minimum.
Oh, that's good. We just went the other day and I joked about it. Kelly carried it in. It was $86.
And that's not a full grocery. That's just
Yeah,
stop and
what
buy
we needed
milk and
for the
bread.
next couple days.
Yeah.
I think the scary part of everything we just said, it just dawned on me. You're slightly older than my oldest son.
Yeah.
You're just,
And I am the age of your oldest
and
son.
you are the age
So-
of my oldest son.
Damn, you're old.
Well, I remember.
I remember when gas was only a nickel.
I told you, yeah, I dropped my phone charger in the bedroom and bent over to pick it up and tweaked my back. I've been hurt for 2 days. People keep telling
Well,
me.
wait till you wake up with something hurting. How did I hurt my ankle sleeping?
You did that recently.
Yes. Well, I've always said when you're 20 years old, no matter what you do to yourself, everything's healed in one day. Break a femur, healed in one day. When you're 60, every day something hurts. You have one thing
You
hurt
carry the weight of the world
every
on
day.
your shoulders. And you've been doing that for a while,
Yeah.
so all of the
One thing every day.
everything.
How
below
the hell
waist
did I
is
twist
complex.
my ankle sleeping?
Is HGH illegal if you're not a pro athlete? Like,
Yes.
Yes. They just
Why, are
don't
you
force
shopping?
it.
Are you
I-
online?
I-
Are you shopping while we're here?
I just heard guys that took it. They say, "Oh, my recovery time."
Well, this will be interesting. You start taking it, we'll start looking at the video and see in a year, whether Collin gets swole.
Like that guy on social media that just came. He was.
Yeah,
What was his name? Liver disease or something like that.
the Liver King or
The
whatever.
Liver King.
Yeah.
The guy's ripped. He's old and he's ripped. And
Oh, yeah.
he came out that he was actually taking roids. Like, yeah.
No kidding.
Shock.
Shock and awe. And in other news, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
WWF was.
Well, I
nice.
just saw an article on him where he's dropped 75 pounds. No kidding. He's almost 70 years old and he doesn't take steroids and he lost 70 pounds. I am shocked how that would happen.
Yeah.
The Hulkamaniacs are all disappointed.
Well, to go back to where we started on this, it sounds like everything that you're finding pretty much lines up with everything we're feeling and seeing and
Yeah.
have for the last couple of months. We
The
just
seed
now
of
have empirical evidence.
So,
Seat of the Pants has been telling us this, and it's true. Yeah.
so the question is, do you have your crystal ball with you in your backpack? How long is this going to take?
Well, I've been talking about that, and I think we got a grim, at least first quarter of next year.
Oh.
Probably 2 quarters.
I said third quarter.
Yeah. Well, I think things will start. The Fed will start to react when things suck at the end of this quarter. Things will still suck in the first quarter, and they'll react harder. And
Well, the problem is, once again, Real estate's a lagging indicator, 6 months. So even if things get better in February, you're not going to see that in our world.
Yeah, we won't see rates drop until third or fourth quarter.
Yeah,
But we'll see the Fed pausing and trying to, oh boy, we've slowed the economy
yeah,
to a standstill, and they're going to see lots of layoffs, which that's every day in the news. FedEx locally is going to close their thing.
yeah,
179 jobs gone.
yeah.
Angie's List, all kinds of local companies are laying people off. So, I mean, we know it's happening, so they're going to say, wait a minute, which the Fed has no choice but to react to what happens. So they're
Look
always
up the
gonna do
unemployment rate.
Well, I know what they just said it was.
What was it?
It's the lowest it's been in a long time,
Yep.
according to
that. Fell to 3.5%.
yeah.
All right, so here's the one thing one of my professors told us. The unemployment rate only counts people who are actively trying to seek a job. People that are not trying to get employed.
I like that total employment number, which is how many people are working,
Yeah.
and it's way worse. I mean, as you can imagine. I think
So how can it be?
Because there's 7 million people on the sidelines of working age. There's 7 million men.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying. If those 7 million aren't trying to get a job,
they won't count in the
they're not
unemployment rate,
counted in unemployment.
which is another thing the government just said, well, let's not focus on this number. Let's focus on the people applying for unemployment.
Yeah.
So that's a small number.
Well, and they do that based on jobs that have hiring, and when you're getting
How long's
hired for
unemployment?
3 jobs.
How long's unemployment? Is it back to 26 or
I
was
think
it
it's
50?
6 weeks or 6 months, 26
26 weeks. I know it went to 52 there for a while.
Well, 99 it was at one point during
Yeah. So
something.
that unemployment is counting new unemployment applications, right? So people so in other words, for the last 26 weeks, all those people wouldn't be counted that are still unemployed. Then the unemployment number talk about new applications for unemployment?
Yeah.
Looks to me, and I'm looking at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, it looks like just under 60% of people are working. And that's people that are able to work.
Yeah.
So 6 out of
So I guess what I'm saying though is that number that's 3.5%, it should be 0. Because those are the new people that applied this whatever the reporting time frame was.
labor force participation rate, 62%. So that's just over 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
The people that can work are working. What are the other 4 out of 10 doing?
Selling real estate.
That's 1 out of 10.
Trying to sell real estate.
Did you try to sell real estate?
They're carrying
Yes.
real estate.
Did you bullshit today? Yeah.
Did you try it? Yes. No,
That's a good point. So here's another question. All joking aside, how are they capturing that number? And does that include people that may be either A, self-employed, like a mortgage loan originator or a real estate agent, and business owners?
It's a good question. How they.
So that's 62% of people that are employed. Are they employed at a company where they called an HR and said, how many people do you have working there? I know I've never got that call.
I'd guess it's people that are.
So the 50 agents that are working with the Modglin group, by definition, are they employed or not employed?
they turn in a 1099, so they're probably going to call it.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're employed. This says 150.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about looking at it that way.
They are probably basing that 62% on people that filed taxes.
I'd guess it
They
has to
they
be-
received a W-2 or a 1099.
Yeah, I don't think they're polling people. I think they're looking at some reporting. Or
If anybody out there knows, I'd be
Yeah, we
curious
would love to know.
how they actually come up with that number. If they're using tax data, then I get it. Because like I said, And are they counting like in all three of our cases? We come from double income families. I mean, my wife works, your wife works, your wife works. So on that tax data, are they counting that as two people employed? And how would they know? Because if a spouse is not employed and you file jointly, say like a stay-at-home
But you
mom,
still are plugging in, that stay-at-home mom would not have a W-2 or 1099 that is getting plugged into that even when you.
so that's what I'm saying. When they look at the Hedegard tax return, all it says is two names and a total income at the bottom.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah, but you still have to turn in, like so we file jointly, we still have to turn in her W-2 and my 1099 and everything.
So they're not going by total tax returns, I guess is what I'm getting at.
No, they're
Because
going
like
by,
my mom never worked. She was a stay-at-home mom back in the
yeah.
Leave It to Beaver days.
Well, this is interesting. I'm looking at the 25-year chart for employment rate. 2000, over 64 million, almost 65 million people were, or 65% were working. It dropped down in the early 2000s a little bit. 2007 and 8, it was a 63 million. Then it dropped down to 59, 58 million, or 58%. So that is
So
63 to 58. So 5% drop in the 2008 crash.
yeah.
Then it slowly went back up to 61 million, 61%, and then COVID hit, and it literally goes straight down in April of 2020, from 61% to 51%.
So we lost 10% of,
Well, we lost 10% of the 61% that were working, so we actually lost like almost 16 or 18% of the
yeah.
employed people.
I mean, we lost 10% of the
It
population.
dropped 10%, boom, straight down. Now it's only come back up to 60%, just under 60.
Well,
So
and there
we're-
again, it still comes down to how they're counting it, because technically speaking, if they're doing it based on 1099s or W-2s that are turned in, I have two 1099s. So does that mean I'm counted
Twice
double?
as employed?
Yeah, I mean, but seriously, that's the.
With data, though, if it's apples to apples, then it shouldn't matter, right? I mean, we presume they're
If they're
counting,
presuming the same way.
unless they change the data calculation. to
Yeah.
this time.
So in that chart, I mean, hopefully they are using apples to apples. So yes, we still dropped 16% of the workforce.
But so 6 out of 10 people are working is what this means to me. So I guess I don't understand how that's possible. How does 4 out of 10 people survive? Maybe some are stay-at-home spouses. Maybe some, I'm curious about this.
Retired people.
And
And
They-
we have a large
See, I go back to would retired people be counted in that population?
see, I think they count working age people, 18 to 65.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they're not even in that population
Yeah.
cohort to begin with.
Which that population demographic has grown a lot with millennials. They're in working age now. That's 92 million kids. I call them kids. They're adults now. But
40, they'll be 40 this year.
yeah, so they're at the whole youngest 20 years of
Well,
that age group.
I've got one that is XYZ. He's Z, and that's the 18 to.
I think I'm a Gen X. I'm 48.
Yeah, you're Gen X. Gen Y is millennial. Gen Z is 25 and younger.
So because that's grown, that's why they come up with the 7 million people not working.
and I'm called a zennial. Because I, like right between, that's what they're saying there's a micro.
Yeah, just redefine it however you want it. Whatever
Yeah,
makes
exactly.
you feel good.
Don't you
Was
want
I-
to be categorized in something? Like,
I don't want to be categorized as a millennial, I'll tell you that right now.
I just want to belong.
I think you're not a millennial based on the class I'm
And behavioral wise,
doing right now. And you realize I'm a baby boomer.
yeah, here at the back.
I'm at the very end of what they can. 63.
Millennials are defined as people born from 81 to 96. So technically speaking, I am a millennial because I was born in 81.
My wife's a millennial.
Yeah.
She was born in
Most of that, I've like I said, I'm doing a class right now on home buyers, and I have found conflicting all of
Oh, I
that.
know.
80, I've seen 82, I've seen 81. So you're right in that.
I'm right. The reality is I have used a rotary phone. I've had to stand up to turn on a television and turn it off and change the channel. I grew up without having a cell phone. You know, all of those things. So
Yeah.
You're not really a millennial.
I'm not.
My dad had a
Nice
remote.
try.
My dad had a remote for the TV.
That was me.
It was me. Get up and turn the channel.
I went through the whole iteration. Do you remember the clicker? There was a cable.
Yes.
Came to a box.
My dad had a wired remote control to record TV, but he would hit pause at the commercial, and I always used to laugh. I mean, you're watching it. What good is recording it while you're watching it? Because you have to watch it to hit the pause.
I remember the clicker and the set-top box and the whole iteration of things. And holding the wall. All right, don't move.
I remember we had a big screen TV that was projector, and it started to go out. The only way we could get everything to work is we'd walk up and take the VCR and slam it on the top of the TV, and it would and then come on all the way.
Here's one. Do you remember the bright dimmer switch on the floorboard?
No. Is it a silver button like that?
It was a button on the
Yeah.
floor.
I remember those being there. It was
Nope.
Yep.
It had a Volkswagen Bug, and it was there.
Yep, it was the bright dimmer switch used to be on your left foot up at the corner.
No, but I do remember not being required to wear a seatbelt and riding around in my grandmother's lap in the front seat.
I remember Dad buy a car where a seatbelt was an option that he had to pay to upgrade.
You're still not required to wear a seatbelt.
Oh,
Well, no, you're not.
only if I don't want to spend money.
You're just required to pay for
You
it.
just got to pay to play. That's the game. Well, this is interesting information, but as we can tell from the seat of our pants, housing is slowing down.
It would have to.
And they
I would-
probably want to know what to do. They ought to watch our radio show.
Yeah, listen to the radio show on Freedom 95.9. We'll talk a little bit more about it.
Also, go back to this weekly thing from last week talking about motivation, because I think that's going to be even more important going forward as things are declining, maintaining that motivation and figuring out how to survive and make it through it.
I'd be curious to see, let's redo this
What, 6
June or
months?
July.
Yeah. See if
Screenshot those numbers
See if we were right.
just to see where we're at.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the actual real answer is it's lunchtime.
Yes,
Let's do it.
and it's going to cost twice as much as it has before.
I'd like to take next.
Now, if we can get Colin to pay.
That's true. All right, Colin's buying. Adios, everybody.